Let's talk about Lamar Jackson, boys.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Now we're talking here.
Now, this might excite the fan base. So the Ravens are placing the non-exclusive tag on Lamar. That means he's now allowed to negotiate with other teams and bring an offer back to the Ravens. If Baltimore doesn't match, they would lose Lamar and 2 first-round picks from the team that's signing him to a contract. So for the Texans, here's my question. Can they pick the first-round picks? Like, would it be the second this year and their 1 next year? Could they trade the Browns 12 this year and the Browns pick next year, let's say? How does it work with the non-exclusive tag? Because I think if you're the Texans and you could get Lamar hypothetically for pick 12 and Cleveland's pick next year or your own first-round pick next year, I would do it in a second if I'm the Houston Texans. He's 26 years old, former MVP, but I have no idea how it works with teams that have multiple first-round picks.
I don't know the exact parameters, but you can come up with a lot of different combinations for first-round picks. Maybe it's Texans this year, Browns next year. Maybe it's both this year. Maybe it's both next year. I don't know exactly what works out best. I mean, I would tell you that most draft people would tell you trading 2 future firsts is a lot better and a lot easier than trading 2 firsts this year or trading 1 of your firsts and 1 of your firsts next year because you know what this draft is. You don't know what next year's draft is. And you would think you're not going to be the number 2 pick in the NFL next year if Lamar Jackson's your quarterback. And you, again, think the Browns are going to be a little bit better than they were this year. So both those picks last year would be less or next year would be less valuable. I don't know. Does it have to be the team, their picks that they're trading? Look, it's worth a conversation in the building. You should have the conversation. And I know that this is the whole 2-year window crap with Nick Caserio and the money and things like that. The Lamar Jackson conversation is a lot bigger than a 2-year window. That's a 5, 6, maybe 7-year commitment that you have to make to Lamar Jackson. And it's likely going to be a near fully guaranteed or fully guaranteed contract to Lamar Jackson. It's worth going through that scenario. Like, that should not be a unturned stone at NRG Stadium.
I'm doing it. With the draft pick that you'd be giving up to get Lamar Jackson, what are you hoping to accomplish? Find a franchise quarterback. You don't have to hope. You got one if you go get Lamar Jackson. And you give up 2 first-round picks. Guess what? You still have 2 first-round picks. You still have a crap ton of draft capital to fill all of the holes, or at least most of the holes, on the rest of your roster. I'm doing this, man. I'm absolutely doing this. I don't know if the Texans will. Some people would argue that this doesn't fit the Texans' timeline. This expedites the rebuild. This speeds up the timeline to the nth degree. And once again, you still have first-round picks in each of the next 2 seasons if you're giving up, even if you are giving up a first-round pick in each of the next 2 seasons. Plus, you have a bunch of other picks as part of the Deshaun Watson trade. You can make moves in free agency. Not as many, of course, because you're investing a lot in Lamar Jackson, but you can make moves in free agency and through the draft to address the other stuff. And once again, man, I'm a big fan of Bryce Young. I don't know what Bryce Young is going to be at the next level. I've been fans of quarterbacks coming out of college. I thought for sure certain guys were going to be great in the league, and they didn't pan out to anything. Same is true vice versa. I thought guys were going to suck when they got to the league. I didn't like them at all coming out, and they turned out to be great players. Nobody knows. If Bill Walsh doesn't know how to evaluate a quarterback, how the hell does BK know how to evaluate a quarterback? I do know Lamar Jackson's really good. I've evaluated him. He's an MVP in this league. He's still in his mid-20s. He's a stud. You have the chance to go out and get him, maybe, because I think there's going to be a very competitive market and a lot of teams offering a lot of money to go get this dude, but you have a chance. You turn the stone. Absolutely. You make the call. You do what you have to do to get yourself involved in this situation.
Obviously, you're not a Lamar Jackson away from being a contender. But look at the AFC. You need a good quarterback or you don't have a chance. You don't have a chance. In your own division, you now have to deal with Trevor Lawrence. You look at the rest of the conference. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I mean, the list goes on and on. Potentially Aaron Rodgers is joining your conference now. Lamar Jackson is 26 years old.
Yeah.
He's 45-16 as a starter. He has the 4th highest winning percentage in the Super Bowl era with a minimum of 50 starts. The only 3 quarterbacks that have won a higher percentage of games than Lamar since he entered the league.
Wait, can I guess?
Go ahead.
Patrick Mahomes.
He's won.
Joe Burrow?
He is not on the list.
Ooh.
Tom Brady's 2.
Okay, makes sense.
And the last one I don't think you'll get. Roger Staubach.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, I
That's
would not
it.
have gone that way.
That's the list. Lamar's 45-16 as a starter. And sure, the Ravens have been a very good team. They're well-coached, well-run organization. But, man, you're hoping best case scenario Bryce Young is Lamar Jackson or C.J. Stroud is Lamar Jackson. So if the Texans could do it, they should be all in on this, man. If you tell me you could turn some of those Deshaun Watson picks into Lamar and you don't have to worry about Lamar Jackson being accused of sexual misconduct by 20-plus women, I mean, come on, man. This guy could be the face of your franchise. And, yeah, you're not going to win right away. But you're not in a great division, and you have a chance from day one with that guy as your quarterback to compete year over year.
Man, I talk about it all the time. Figure out head coach, figure out quarterback. People love them some DeMeco Ryans in this coaching cycle. And they thought highly of the guy. He was the only candidate that all 5 teams wanted to talk to, and you got DeMeco Ryans. So it seems like most of the NFL is a thumbs up on DeMeco Ryans from a head coach before he's put the headset on for 1 minute of a game. We know a lot of people are thumbs up on Lamar Jackson. It's former MVP. It's a unique talent. It's a unicorn talent. Not a lot of guys who can do what Lamar can do at the quarterback spot. And if DeMeco Ryans and Lamar Jackson are the operating procedure for the next 4, 5, 6 years for the Texans, you got to feel pretty good about your chances to make some noise in the NFL.
Yeah.
Initially, you're making noise in the AFC South, and then you got to feel pretty good about your chances to make noise. And 2, I would say to this, if Nick Caserio believes highly in his ability to go out there and evaluate players with a normal amount of draft picks, okay, because you'd get closer to a normal amount if you jettison 2 firsts for Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
If Nick Caserio believes in his ability to evaluate players with a normal amount of draft picks and put together a team around a quarterback, then eliminate going and finding the quarterback and evaluating 4 different guys. When you just evaluate Lamar, you bring him in. And we know roughly what the level you have to get to is to get the Ravens out of this thing. Like, it's a financial commitment. It's a money commitment. Well, oh, yeah, that's expensive. You got to write the big check. You got to stow that cash away. We talked about it all the time. Cal McNair's ready to write a big check.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think Cal McNair would be excited with Lamar Jackson? Like, yeah, actually, you know what? We had all this thought about this quarterback and that quarterback. But we like Lamar because he's really good. Like, that would excite everybody and everything. And, yeah, okay, if it fails, you know what? You went down with a way better swing than just about anybody else took.
You know what's interesting, too? If the Ravens were seriously considering not matching an offer, you'd have to think it's because the 2 first-round picks they're getting, certainly the pick in this year's draft, puts them in position to then find their long-term answer at quarterback. The number 2 pick does exactly that.
Yeah.
You're getting C.J. Stroud, or maybe Bryce Young, or Levis, or Richardson. So maybe they would say, you know what? Number 2 is more valuable than getting 3 first-round picks from another team that's going to be contending. We know the Texans pick 2nd overall. We're going to get our long-term answer at quarterback to replace Lamar, and we avoid having to pay him.
It gets even more interesting if you don't have to give up 2. Think about that.
I think you would, because I tend to agree with what BK said earlier. The Ravens would match, like pick 12 and the Texans 1 next year. I think they would. But maybe it's 50-50. They wouldn't match if they know they're getting the 2nd overall pick and they could take their own quarterback.
I mean, look, this is the scenario where you put the Ravens in a weird spot. You had the big contract, and again, we got to figure out, and it's unknown now, and I'm sure there's some NFL expert out there that can explain exactly how it goes down. We got to figure out if it's Ravens pick the picks or Texans pick the picks. Because if the Texans pick the picks and they just get to give them 2 firsts, hello number 12 and hello Cleveland next year, and then the Texans got the number 2 pick, and then, oh, by the way, doesn't everybody want a quarterback all of a sudden? Now the Bears aren't the only team that can trade back?
Mm.
Oh, you want to add Will Anderson and Lamar Jackson in one offseason? Oh, okay. Executive of the year. Go ahead and put Casario's name on it.
Can we just give them 204 and 208 instead?
No, I don't think that's how it
2
works.
2 picks this year. They wouldn't want that?
I don't think that's how that works, BK.
Okay.